And as promised, we want to welcome in CBS News congressional correspondent Nancy Cordes from Capitol Hill. Nancy, you've been speaking to lawmakers all morning, including Democratic Congressman Joe Crowley of New York. What did he have to tell you?
Well, what he said, Dana, was that there was a lot of emotion in that meeting with President Obama. He said many Democrats by the end of the meeting were actually in tears because this is one of the last, if not the last time, that they will be meeting with President Obama before he departs in just a couple of weeks now. A lot of yes, we cans and si se puedes in the room. But the reality is that when it comes to Obamacare, despite all the talk, they will also acknowledge that there is relatively little that they can do legislatively. So what you're seeing now on both sides of the Capitol today, since repeal is by and large a foregone conclusion, is a battle for the American public and a battle over who gets left holding the bag if millions of Americans lose their health insurance. Here in the Capitol basement, where President Obama was meeting with those Democrats like Joe Crowley, they are arguing that if you break it, you fix it, that if Republicans end up repealing this law and if people lose their coverage, then it will be the Republicans' fault. Over on the other side of the Capitol, where Vice President-elect Mike Pence was meeting with House Republicans, we heard a very different argument. They said this law is already falling apart, and we're just looking for relief for the American people. We are the saviors, not the culprits here. And that's what I asked Mr. Crowley about a short time ago.
You know, Nancy, I think it is Donald Trump right now who rules Twitter, but it seems that the Democrats have taken a page from him in trying to get a catchphrase out there, make America sick again, in reference to this idea of repealing the law, because we still don't know what the plan would be going forward.
Right, and that is a point they're going to be making again and again, and they got some help today from the American Medical Association, which put out a letter to the Republican leadership saying, look, if you are going to repeal this health care law, you need to explain to the American people with some specificity how you are going to replace it, what you are going to do next. It's all well and good to say we're going to replace it with something better, but how about some specifics? We did not hear those specifics from House Republicans or the Vice President-elect today. A number of reporters tried to get the Speaker of the House and the Vice President-elect to explain not even what they're going to replace Obamacare with permanently, but even what they'll do during this transition period, how they will prevent, for example, insurance companies who see the writing on the wall, who see that Obamacare is going away, from pulling out altogether. They said that they will have those details in the coming weeks, but they did not have many details right now.
Yeah, I think it was an hour ago at least where you first told us about this idea of an executive order sort of starting that stopgap. What more can you tell us that we learned in the news conference with Vice President-elect Mike Pence?
I'm afraid it's still murky. A number of lawmakers say that they were told by the Vice President-elect that on day one, Mr. Trump will move by executive order to address the repeal of Obamacare and other Obama actions, but beyond that, there wasn't a lot of detail either on what he can do by executive action, and even Democrats were a little confused about what exactly he can do by executive action and what he intends to do, how much he intends to do, because after all, the most effective way to repeal the health care law is through the legislative process here in Congress.
Well, Nancy, we heard the words, the first big fight over health care in Congress. They are ready for it and has begun from Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, and it certainly has today. Nancy, thank you for your time.
You're so welcome.
We want to remind you to tune into our brand new political show tonight, Red and Blue. We will have full coverage on today's events on Capitol Hill. We'll also hear from Andy Card, the former chief of staff to President George W. Bush. The show is hosted by CBSN's Elaine Quijano and airs tonight at 9 Eastern and again at